All right, all right. I am so glad to see that this webinar was already a success. This is my first solo webinar where I'm gonna be the only host today. Usually I have Mr. Import Exporter Bobby will be here, or I'll have another guest that is an expert in whatever field speaking as well. So if everybody can hear and see me, please put a one in the chat. I can see right now we have 68 people. I do understand that some people did sign up for. You guys went to the Stripe link, you bought the webinar, and then there's another link that has you register. And out of about 150, maybe 151, 152 people, about 25 people did not sign up. So if you know anybody else that's coming, tell them to check their email, because I did send another email with the link to sign up for those people that did not, because that is a pretty good chunk of people that are not going to be able to come through. So if you guys don't know who I am, first of all, welcome again. I'm Austin Holloman, and today I'm going to give you guys the real blueprint on how to relocate abroad the right way from my 3 years of living abroad and traveling to 30 plus countries. Soon it'll be 31 next week. I'm going to Angola just for one day, and then I'm going back to Nairobi and coming back here. And I've also lived in a few countries. I've lived in Kenya, as you guys may know, for the past year. I have been in Paraguay for a good amount of time, Brazil for a good amount of time, and now my new journey is bringing me to Windhoek, Namibia, where I will be having my second home here. So I'm not gonna, from what I can think of right now, I'm not gonna get rid of my first place in Nairobi, but I'm going to have a second place here as well, as I just said. So the information that I'll be giving you guys today is from my experience, from my mistakes, and how I've corrected them. And I've tested everything personally across all the 30 plus countries that I've been to. And I've consulted hundreds of people around the world, especially on coming to Nairobi, but even coming to Brazil, Paraguay, and I figured out what works for them and what doesn't. So the goal today is going to be simple as making relocation simple, safe, cost efficient, and predictable for you. Now, and if you guys have any questions, that was too much registering. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix the way how the thing registers, because I'm adding people to my email list as you guys sign up for this, but I might just have to directly just take the emails from this StreamYard thing and put them there and make it easier on everybody else. Because I can see how that could cause some conflict. But the thing is, people were not even getting to the first part. Some people were not. So I think some of it was inevitable. So I'm going to have a slideshow that will go along with everything that we're talking about here today. And if you guys have any questions, as before, make sure you leave your questions in the chat. And if you guys want to call in towards it, we'll have a Q&A at the end. If you guys want to call in for the final 30 minutes or the final portion of the webinar, we'll have direct questions. Tim A, I see you put a question mark. What was the question you were asking so far before we get started? But if not yet, okay, so as you guys know, or maybe you don't know, I have started a new business called the Expat Freedom System. And today is basically going to be the launch of that business. Somebody asked how long is the webinar? It's up to 90 minutes. I won't go past 90 minutes. But the way how I speak, I think I could do this in about an hour. But I'm going to put the 90 minutes out there unless people don't fill in with questions. So the Expat Freedom System is basically the top goal of the Expat Freedom System is for me to work with you directly one-on-one to relocate and build a personal roadmap for yourself to live overseas. And this is basically the entry level, which is the webinar. So on the next slide, again, what we're going to go over today is how to choose the right country using a proven framework from my experience, how to avoid scams, overpaying, something that I've experienced a dozen times in many countries, and rookie expat mistakes that I've made numerous times as well, like getting robbed by the taxi in Chile. I wouldn't say it was so much of a rookie mistake, but it could have been avoided. How to legally make money abroad and build a portable income, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys are watching for that very reason. I think that was the biggest selling point of this webinar was how to make a remote income that you can do what I'm doing. Essentially, oh, I feel like I don't want to live in Kenya anymore. I want to go live in Namibia. That's actually a dream life that only rich people could do 30 years ago. But since the invention of the internet, it's available to everybody. And a lot of you guys will find out by the end of this webinar that everybody can literally do this. You know how people say that there's something that everybody's good at? That literally applies to making money online, not just having a career, having something to do on a daily basis that you could sell to somebody. And I will break that down and give you guys maybe a few ideas. And I'm gonna give you 2 books to read that will hopefully open your eyes to some things that you didn't think of. And then we're gonna go over how to structure your first 90 days in any country that you go to based off how I've done it. I'm gonna use Kenya as my springboard with that. And how to identify the skill you already have that can be sold, as I was just saying, and how to, and this is one of the most important parts, which is how to monetize your skill in 30 days. And I'm gonna give you guys a quick disclaimer. Experiments is actually how is gonna be the best way for you to make money online. For example, I've done webinars before. I found something that was virtually $0 startup costs. I pitched it to 3 people that I knew personally first, seen if they would buy it. Then I put it on YouTube and put it out for you guys to buy. So most people here that are here right now didn't know about this until I was already selling it. And I'll get into that with you guys later on. And then of course at the end I said I would do a live Q&A, and then we'll discuss access to the expat and investment group for people that are serious attendees on actually learning how to number one, the main thing is joining my personal network and then learning how to operate with a community. Because a big issue that a lot of us have, and I've said this on my YouTube channel, we go to other countries, is we like to do our own things. And I'm also going to talk about that later on because I know somebody personally that was recently just scammed in Kenya on an immigration type of deal. And it was very avoidable, but not utilizing the network of Americans that have been there for a while, that was able to happen. So Tim A says, Austin, can you tell us a comparison of opportunities when we can consider if thinking Uruguay versus Namibia? Absolutely. And those are 2 good comparisons. You're going to have to break down that question a little further. But those are 2 good comparisons because they are 2 very underpopulated countries. One is more developed than the other, though, and one is super expensive, which is Uruguay. Okay, so I'm gonna skim through this because I think most of you guys know who I am. But anyway, I'm an American expat. I'm Austin Hall, an American expat that now lives in Africa full time, and I've lived in South America as before, as I said previously, and maybe you guys already know that. I said most of this. Okay, I already said this. I'm getting ahead of myself then. So let's go to the reason why people want to leave the United States in the first place. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have already figured this part out, but I'm going to reiterate this again. Maybe it can remotivate you again to understand why you would do this. Because my reason for leaving is how I develop my online income by accident, but it is my motivating driver every single day to not have to go back to the States. So the reality in the United States right now, for most people, and a lot of this stuff is going to be undisputable, which is that the cost of living has risen faster than income, especially if you live in a place like New York or LA. And safety in major cities is dropping dramatically, especially with the influx of immigrants that are not going through that many checks. And politics is starting a new race war and it's pretty much going backwards as far as race relations. It seemed like maybe it got better for a while and now it's going backwards. And there's a declining quality of life. And this was my number one factor. So of course I was exposed to the political climate in the United States, didn't really care about that. I mean, it mattered, but it wasn't that big of a deal to me. It was tolerable. The safety thing, I do understand the mass shootings and all that stuff. It never really happened to me, thank God. But I know that it was there, and I'm not denying it's not there either. And the cost of living was getting insanely high. And now that I've been gone for 3 years, actually, even just after 3 months, I don't know how I was living there in the first place. I understand now why I felt like I was so overworked. because you'll never be able to make enough money to catch up to that system they got there. Unless if you're like super successful, like you got to really knock it out of the park. It seems to be living comfortably there. To be able to actually do like the lifestyle that I live now in Kenya and Namibia, even in more expensive countries like Uruguay. Like Uruguay, the cheapest meal that I would be eating out would be like 16, 17, $18 minimum, right? And that's not far off of what it would cost in Texas, but I still felt like I could move around and do what I wanted a lot more, and there wasn't these random bills. Like it just seemed like as soon as I got some money, it was going there. Like saving money was just, and I was making like $10,000 a month cutting hair, and I had two barbershops, and I still felt like I was very, very limited. You said you're in Uruguay. Yeah, I plan to go back there soon. I really like that place. But because of all of that, you guys do know that this plays into your social life as well. So nobody's available to hang out. Nobody has time to hang out. Nobody wants to hang out. It's a very individualistic, materialistic culture. So everything is centered around you making more money to impress more people. You guys know my driving factor was the women. I mean, all this other stuff matters. But as a 22-year-old man, once the women were out of the equation, it was like, yeah, okay, I got to do something else. This is not going to work. And so I actually stumbled upon finding my purpose. Even though I thought it was about women, I had a bigger purpose in that, which was what I'm doing today, which is the reason why we were able to get 150 people in a short time frame. This ain't the way, Chief. And that all leads to stress levels and burnout. And yeah, we all know this part, I think. Now, on the opposite end, the opportunity abroad, and some people might say it's the same thing everywhere. I'm going to tell you it's not the same thing everywhere. Yes, everywhere has its problems, but it is not the same thing everywhere. I promise you it's not. And when we go to cost of living, we could even talk about, for example, I know this might sound kind of crazy. I'm saying, let's say you're looking at an HIV test, right? I noticed this when I got to Kenya. Those tests are like 500 shillings, which is like $3 for one person, right? The exact same test in the United States is $50 per person. So it's not the same everywhere. That place is literally just charging us for the same stuff just because, which makes life a lot harder. And if you have less money to invest because you're spending it on the same, I think Red Bull is even cheaper in other parts of where I've been to. It's just more expensive there. Everything is more expensive. Everything is overpriced. The same antibiotics that I buy, $2, $3, they're more expensive in the States. I don't have to go to the doctor every time I need something. I think you guys get it, right? But now, let's say you're living abroad, 9 times out of 10, unless if you're living in Paris or something like that, you're gonna have more freedom for a cheaper cost. And because you're having a cheaper cost of living, you're gonna be able to stay in a safer neighborhood. So for example, in Kenya, where I live at, is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I would go to it's a brand new 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Kiloleshwa, and I would walk that street at 3, 4 a.m. by myself without even feeling the need to look over my shoulder. Right? I would go to the ATM in the middle of the night because now my rent is $800 there. $800 in Dallas, they'd be gangbanging and selling dope outside. So because everything is cheaper, you do stay in a safer environment and you can live a healthier lifestyle because you can afford to basically shop at Whole Foods equivalent in another country. And it feels like you're basically shopping at their Whole Foods and you're still spending like a third or a fourth of what you would spend at Walmart in the United States. So take that into consideration, sorry. And of course, as I've said before, but I'm not going to harbor on this one too much because I think you guys get it. The dating environment is better and the social energy is a lot better. Even here in Namibia, I feel like I can walk up and talk to anybody. It's easier to build a social circle of friends that are actually available to hang out. You know, that people just seem a lot more genuine and a lot more happy. Even in some places where there's like a dictatorship that I've been to, people still seem a lot happier, and we have a democracy in the United States, and that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems that there is a gender war, there's a race war, there's just a war between everybody being there. And also there'll be easier pathways to residency and long-term living. So for example, if you guys are concerned about World War III, or if you're concerned about the LGBT agenda that's being put in the schools and you want to actually go somewhere, it is very easy in a lot of places for us to get residency and even citizenship. Most places I would not recommend getting citizenship. Like, I'm not going to get a Kenyan citizenship. Their taxes are way too high. And yeah, every country has its own issues. So I think it's in some scenarios it is good to keep your American passport and just have a permanent residency as a backup option. And as I said before, now with the invention of the internet, remote work is easier than ever, and countries are now actually competing to attract foreigners. Places like Botswana that are adding, I think it's $78,000 you can become a citizen in Botswana. Even in Sao Tome, it's cheaper than that. You can become a citizen there. So now these people, or these governments, actually want to develop their countries. Even though a lot of them are still corrupt, they actually want to develop their countries. So they are understanding that making it easier to do business in their countries will attract more foreigners that have more money. Do I need to go over why I left the United States? So again, if you guys don't know why I left the United States with people that don't know exactly, I'm getting distracted reading some of you guys' comments. Let me ignore this. Let me turn the comments off. So if you guys don't know why I left the United States, as I said before, I had a horrible social life. I hated it. I hated every single day. Not that I was ungrateful to be alive. It was just the fact that I had done everything that I needed to do to make my life more comfortable and my dating life more comfortable. And it seemed like I got the opposite result. And so I started thinking, let me change the language, let me change the continent, the country, the history, the people. And I went to Brazil, and I have not been the same since. I went to Brazil. When I went back to the United States, I was checked out. I didn't want to talk to none of my friends. I was telling my mama I moved. My mama was crying because she could see it in my face that I wasn't playing no more. And yeah, hey, one day I packed my bags, I left, and it's been 3 years since then. And it will be 3 more years and probably 30 more years before I go back there to live. I probably will never go back there to live, actually. Actually, I won't be going back there to live. And when I went to Latin America, the reason that it was easier for me to stay there, as I said before, $1 is, at that time, I don't know right now in Brazil what the current exchange rate is, but $1 was $5 in Brazil, and it spent like it. So everything was literally divided by 5. What it would cost for you to stay in uptown Dallas for $4,000 a month, it would literally be less than $1,000 in Brazil. I was living in Salvador Bahia, Brazil, and I could hear, see, and smell the beach, and my rent was nearly $600, something that would be unfathomable in Miami or even New Orleans or anywhere that's a beach town in the United States. But I did not stay in Latin America permanently, as I said before, because when I came to visit Africa, I had a strong sense of peace, belonging, and I actually grew, my maturity grew a lot faster here being in Africa, and I felt free. If you guys have been to Kenya, you know it feels like you can literally do whatever you want. It feels like you're unstoppable being there. Let me see if we have any questions. He said, show it. Yeah, my mama was crying, man. She was actually crying for a few months later on. So, the next slide we have is the 7-point country selection framework. So, number 1, we have the cost of living versus lifestyle reality. What can you realistically afford, and what lifestyle does that money buy you in that country? This is the mistake that most people have here. So let me give you an example of this. Some people, I have to emphasize survival costs versus the actual living costs. Okay? So when I get on YouTube and I say, hey, you can come live in Kenya for, I don't know, $1,500 a month, or my survival expenses are $1,200 a month. That does not mean you go to Kenya with a $1,200 a month income thinking your life is going to be like my YouTube channel or anything similar to it. This is a mistake that a lot of y'all are making. When I say you can live, I need to say survive instead. You will be surviving in Kenya. Now I know the average Kenyan is making $300 or $400 a month, and they're making it work with $600, right? But I'm getting so many emails of people saying that they can't find the link to the webinar. Okay, so those costs are survival costs, right? So you're not gonna be going on dates. You're not gonna be using Uber that much. You're gonna have to walk, right? I mean, the average Kenyan is making $300 or $400 a month, but look at where they're living for that price. Because some people try to gaslight me and say, "Oh, well, they're doing it off $400 and $500. Like, why do you need $1,500 a month to survive?" Because I like my electricity to be on and my water to be running constantly. Go look at where those people are living in Nairobi, where their entire life runs on $300. Go look at it and see if you can come from Texas and do that. So I'm saying that to say, understand your lifestyle and understand the difference in the cost of living. So for me, the cost of living is $1,200, and after my lifestyle, maybe it's cheaper now. My lifestyle for me to live in Kenya is probably $3,500. Maybe not even that much anymore because I don't drink and smoke as much as I used to. But I would always say, leave room for error. You need $2,000 on top. So if you guys have a pen and paper, if you have notes, I want you to write down your income that you're gonna have to live abroad, and I want you to let's go off of a single person. Let's do a budget of, I would say 500. Let's go with $600 per month for a one bedroom. Let's say $500. $500 for a one bedroom. Your light bill is probably going to be $30. Your water bill is so low, I don't even need to tell you, but let's just throw in $5 on there. Let's throw in another $200 for groceries. If you're living in Africa and you go to the gym, for some reason the gyms in most of Africa is not under $100, so let's go for a $100 gym membership. But that doesn't matter because your cost of living has decreased so significantly. And then Uber, depending on how busy your life is, we could throw another $200 per month on top of that. And if you drink alcohol, I'll let you decide how much it is. But just know most drinks are $5 to $10 in places like Kenya. Yeah, and so in Latin America and Asia, you can find gyms that are similar price to the United States where it's like $20 a month, $10 a month, $40, $50 a month. In Kenya, Tanzania, you pretty much ain't going to the gym. A decent gym, you're not going to the gym for less than $100 a month. My gym at VMX is $120 per month. I'm bookmarking you guys as we do this. So the next mistake that a lot of people don't consider whenever they're taking their plan into account is their visa and residency pathways. So when you're picking a country, remember this is all about picking a country. So back to number one, don't pick Paris if you're making $2,000 a month. You might as well stay in the States. If you're making $2,000 a month, Thailand will be a paradise. Brazil will be a paradise. Not a paradise, but it'll be good. Most places in Latin America would be good. Paraguay would be a paradise, actually. That's the one. And Argentina as well. At least when I was there. I heard it's more expensive now. And I wouldn't tell you to pick Argentina either because the economy fluctuates too much. Now, when it comes to visas and residencies, honestly, your best bet is going to be in Latin America. I don't know what it is about African countries. Let me give you an example right now. If you like Namibia the way how I do and you want to move here, they give you a 90-day tourist visa. You can extend up to 6 months. So you can stay 6 months straight. But let's say you want to move here and you don't want to go anywhere. To be short, outside of marrying somebody or getting a job here, there's no option for that. The only options you have to stay long periods of time in Namibia is to get married, get hired, and I believe it said it was only up to 2 years for that, or it was a year that you could be hired for some Namibian company. If I wanted to go work at the radio station Z Works, they would give me a year. Or you'd have to open up a business. You'd have to, and it's not cheap to do that either here. They're gonna want a lot. The thing with most of these African countries is they want a lot of money up front. Now on the flip side, and Asia's almost like that as well. Now on the flip side, if you go to Latin America, $1,500, you can get a 2-year residency in almost every country there. If you go to Paraguay, I'm telling you from experience, if you go to Paraguay with $1,500, you can become a temporary resident for 2 years and you do not have to leave. You can get a bank account, get a driver's license, all that, just like almost, not like a citizen, but almost. And then after about 7 years, you can become a permanent resident. And yes, you can have a kid. Yes, if you have a kid, yes. But the thing is, that kind of stuff is easier said than done. Like getting married and having kids, like those are big decisions to just make. And that's why it's not that feasible. But if you go to Brazil with around $1,500 to $2,000, you can get residency there. They have digital nomad programs in places like Colombia. Latin America is a lot more, it is a better option if you're looking for those visa and residency options. Kenya, even Kenya, they just got their digital nomad visa, which is $1,000 per year, and you can stay 1 year for $1,000. But if you want to do if you're over 35, you can do retirement, and that's probably going to be your best option for $2,500 for 2 years. Now, if you want to open up a business, a physical business, and I'm not talking about somebody like me that's doing webinars and YouTube. I don't have to register in Kenya for that. That's YouTube. They can't take that. That's American money. But if I wanted to open a barbershop in Kenya, I'm going to spend at least $4,000 for the first year getting my visa initiated, and then it's $2,500 per year as a just because fee, just to maintain it. And you have to do that about 3 times before you can apply for permanent residency. So when it comes to Africa, you're gonna have to do a lot more thinking on what African country you want. And you can become a citizen in these countries, but I mean, I'm telling you, I don't think you want to be a citizen in most of these countries in Africa. Maybe the thing is, it's easier to get citizenship in Latin America than it is Africa. And I think I have the theory that it's because that Latin America is like the United States. Those are new countries. Like they went and wiped out those people that were there, and they don't. Like in the United States, we don't have any, our culture is not based on some Native American Navajo tribe stuff. It's based on what they brought over and what was mixed in, right? Versus in Kenya, those aren't new countries. I mean, Kenya is only like 60 years old, but those people have been there for thousands of years. So they're not going to just let you into their country. The same way, like if you go to some European countries, just because you have a baby there doesn't mean that baby's German. You know, I don't know in specific with Germany, but there's a lot of European countries like that. Romania is one of them too. One of the parents at least has to be a native. So just keep that just take that into consideration when you're doing these. Okay, let me read some of these questions because I don't want to get too backed up on questions. Last one, let me do number 3 first. Now, safety based on real local data. So if you go to the U.S. Travel Advisory, and you look at damn near every country in the world, there's going to be something that's going to tell you not to go there. If you go look at Tanzania, when I was there in 2023, I had people calling me, telling me like, oh, no, don't go there. They got terrorism going on. They got Islamic terrorists. I was in Tanzania 5 weeks, and I don't recall coming close to anything like terrorism. So I'm not telling you guys. Now, if the thing says stage 4, do not travel, take it into consideration. But if it's level 1, 2, 3, you can pretty much still go. I'm not responsible if you guys go and something happens to you. Just putting that disclaimer, I'm not responsible for anything. But I'm just telling you guys from my own experience, there's a lot of countries I've been to that have high risk of going to that you do not feel in danger of at all. But still, look up the safety. Yes, Brazil has the highest number of murders in the world every single year, but the chances of you becoming a victim to one of those murders are extremely slim unless you go pick to live in a favela or you pick to do something silly. Tim A says, Austin, can you tell us a comparison of opportunities we can consider if thinking about Uruguay versus Namibia? Oh yeah, I asked you to elaborate on that question a little more. Let me go to the next one. I'm gonna be waiting on your next question. Which country in Latin America would you recommend? So I would recommend that, and it depends on, and that's a vague question because it depends on what. But from my personal experience, my favorite countries in Latin America are Chile. If you want to get a residency in Chile, you really only need like $800 worth of income, which everybody has. If you don't have $800 worth of income, you don't need to be trying to leave the United States right now. But if you want to get residency as an American in Chile, that's pretty much all you got to show, and have a clean FBI check. I guess making sure you're not a fugitive on a run or something like that. I guess I've done the FBI check before. Obviously, I came back clean, but yeah. So I would say Chile, Brazil, and Brazil is a big country, so we had to narrow that down. Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Peru. The other ones I wouldn't recommend necessarily, and we can get into that another time, but for personal reasons. Do you network and collaborate with other Americans abroad like yourself? Yes. So if you guys know, like Bobby that I hang out with, he's somebody he's somebody I network with. Casey Redbeard Rance is somebody. I mean, most of these people that I'm naming off are other YouTubers. So yes, other YouTubers I do collaborate with, but even the ones that are not YouTubers that are like-minded, I do collaborate with them as well. That's another thing a lot of people don't take into consideration as well, is moving to a country where you aren't in a bubble with Americans. So like a lot of Americans like Thailand, but I'll tell you when I was there, I don't have one male Thai friend. I don't have one Peruvian male friend. You know, of course I had women that I met when I was there, but your life can't just be women. You need to actually be able to build a real circle. And that's why for a whole year straight, I was trying to tell people, really 2 years, I was trying to tell people that Nairobi, Kenya, or Africa in general, Nairobi, Kenya is the place that you want to be at. It's pretty much everything there that you need. But we can dive deeper to that question because that one's a little vague too, in my opinion. What parts of Brazil would you recommend for long-term stays, like 2 to 3 years? It depends. And see, these are it always depends. If you like a more New York City business, busy, concrete jungle type of vibe, Sao Paulo is going to be your place. If you like a laid back, not really missing out on nothing, the people around you aren't that ambitious, maybe some of them, but they're not that ambitious. People are sitting around drinking all day. Then I would say Salvador Bahia, Manaus, and even a place like Recife, I think as well. Not really, but I would say as well. And Rio is Rio. Rio is going to be heavily, it's super dangerous, man. It's super dangerous in Rio. I never had nothing, actually I did have some stuff happen to me in Rio, but yeah. Let me say from my personal experience, I'm going to tell you Salvador Bahia is a place you could live 2 to 3 years, which is on the eastern portion of Brazil. What's the difference between Botswana and Namibia in terms of safety and cost of living? Botswana is safe. Both of these countries are safe, from what I can see. Botswana is safer because it didn't seem like, from what the locals would tell me, that they had guns there. Here in Namibia, they have guns. Like if you guys know Dick's Sporting Goods in the States, how you could just walk in and buy all the hunting gear and all the bullets and all that stuff. They have that right across the street from where I'm staying at. You can go buy all the guns you need, and the gun laws are similar to what they are in South Africa. So that comes with its own problems as well. But I have not felt, maybe for a woman walking around at nighttime, it would be unsafe. It's going to be it's not extremely, it's going to be more expensive in Botswana than here. Botswana is a little more successful economically compared to Namibia. But Botswana is definitely more expensive. Namibia is, I think, more expensive than Kenya, I would say, but it's not like Botswana. It seems like it's cheap until you start actually moving around there. It's not as cheap as you think in Botswana. Let's see. And I'm going to come back to some of these questions. When you say income of $800, for example, would having a successful YouTube channel count? Yeah, so literally, these countries are going to want to see that you've had 6 months, maybe to a year of consistent pay stubs. So even if you're making $1,200 a month, basically they don't want you to be the way how we view Mexicans coming into the United States, like, oh, they coming over here with nothing and they just gonna get stuck. They're doing the same thing. The thing is with us, it's just easier to cross their thresholds. Like for a person coming from Mexico or Honduras or Kenya, it's going to be a lot harder for them to prove income that doesn't look suspicious to the American immigration. But with us, yeah, like $800, yeah, if you're not earning $800 a month in the States, you're in poverty. So, but for them, that's enough to get approved. Okay. So I'm bookmarking the questions. And then let me go on like for at least 2 to 3 more slides. And then we'll go from there. I'm having to send people the webinar link. Okay. So the next thing is the dating market compatibility. Like I said, I'm trying to rebrand outside of dating, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But listen, the dating thing does matter. That's why I keep telling black men that Africa is the place that you need to be at. I remember I was gonna live in Latin America until I started seeing all the white worshiping and stuff, and yeah, I don't live there anymore. I would go back to visit, but I can't deal with that. Don't be like that black woman that went to Russia trying to date. Take those things into consideration. They do matter. Trust me. People like to say, oh, women ain't everything. They matter somewhat. Anyway, economic stability and banking strength. So the country that you're picking, is it a country that you can actually trust to protect your money? Is inflation stable? So I'm gonna give you guys an example. When I was in Argentina, you guys know I used to smoke cigars. When I would go into the cigar shop, the inflation was so bad they didn't have prices on the cigars, and every single day, by the hour, they had to pull out their currency converter to they had to base stuff in US dollars and had to figure out what price. And you could go in there at 11 a.m. and they would have to figure out, because the price is not the same no more at 6 p.m. So you need to take that into consideration. Just because it's cheap to live in those places, it doesn't mean that it's gonna stay that way. Because it was cheap in Argentina when I was there. I could eat a huge meal for $3 and $4, and now those prices have went up 5 times from what I've heard. Are their banks reliable? Do they have Singapore has similar banking policies to places like the United States. Can you trust the banking in those countries? Are foreign accounts easy to open? Like in Brazil, I opened a bank account in Brazil. It's fairly easy to open a bank account there. Income opportunities. I always tell you, Americans, do not, please stop going. And I don't know how this happens. I've met plenty of Americans that move to other countries that do not have any income. If you go to Kenya or Bolivia or Cambodia with no income or no plan before you get there, there are no safety nets. If you don't have any money to eat in Kenya, you won't be eating today. It's not like the United States where they have food stamps. Now that's as far as getting a job. But if you are picking these places, is there opportunities for you to build real estate? Is there an opportunity for you to build the Kenyan version of AAA? Is there opportunities for you to outsource a call center from Kenya? Right? It's going to be fairly easier to do business in Latin America when it comes to this type of stuff, but Africa is going to have more opportunities. If you want to go live in Santiago, Chile, and you want to open up a barbershop, you're going to have far more competition than if you went to Nairobi, Kenya, and opened up a barbershop. Actually, having a U.S. barber's license in Kenya is a big deal. It's like highly respected there, so just keep that in mind. Now, another thing is, how do the locals treat you there in the first place? It doesn't matter how paved the roads are. It doesn't matter how safe it is. It doesn't matter how good the food is, how good the weather is, if all of your neighbors are part of the Ku Klux Klan, right? So how are they going to perceive you, especially if you're black, right? How are they going to perceive you? Is it safe to stand out? Okay, I've been to places like Poland. I'm not even going to use them as an example. I've been to places like Romania, Bucharest, Romania, and I was the only person that wasn't a white Romanian in the mall at that time. Now it wasn't dangerous, but if something happens, I'm not that hard for them to find either. And that could help or hurt. It could help or hurt you socially. And I wouldn't say financially for us, usually because as Americans, they're going to do business with us regardless because they think that we're all something like that. So financially it might not hurt you, but if you're going over there to date or you want to build a social circle, again, this is why I always say places like Africa and Nairobi, Kenya are the best places you could pick because you fit right in. You definitely feel welcomed and you feel like you have a sense of belonging. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I've been feeling. That's why I've been here. I have the option to go anywhere else I want to in the world. I have not. Now, we're going to do a 3 country comparison. And we're going to start, we're going to do one from each continent and compare to 3. So we're going to compare Kenya to a place like Colombia. Okay, a lot of people like to come to Kenya in Africa. A lot of people like to go to Colombia. A lot of people like to go to Thailand. That's the most visited place in the world. Bangkok is. And we're going to go over to rent, groceries, safety, internet, dating, and business. So let's start with my city that I'm living in right now, which is Nairobi, Kenya. A 1-bedroom apartment in the prime side of town, Gigiri, Kilauea. I don't know about Karen. I think it's a little more expensive there, but Upper Hill, Westlands, Kilimani, Lavington. Those areas for a 1-bedroom is going to cost you around $500 US per month. That's just a ballpark range. Of course, it's not exactly the same everywhere, but a ballpark range. If you are somebody you like to shop at Quick Mart, which is like maybe their version of Tom Thumb, or Clean Shelf, which is their version of Whole Foods, or whatever the other stores that's similar to Whole Foods that they got in the States now, you're going to spend around $200 to $250. Now, I know some people that have been in Kenya for a while and they go shop and buy their apples off the side of the street. Yes, you will save a lot of money, but you will make a lot more trips trying to save money. Maybe if it's all within walking distance, that's fine. But I'm sorry, I want to buy my meat and vegetables and fruit all in one spot. I don't want to be jumping all around the city trying to get that. Now, in Kenya, it's going to be extremely safe, as I said before. I already said that earlier. The internet is some of the best internet I've had in the world. They have 5G fiber, 100 up and 100 down, which is great for people that do online working. Here in Namibia right now, it's almost the complete opposite. Where I'm at right now, the internet is like excellent for Namibia, and it's not super fast. But we'll get into that later. Dating in Kenya, if you're a black American man, it will be a paradise for you. I don't really see anybody having an issue there, unless if you have been misled. But doing business in Kenya will be a culture shock. So in Namibia, I don't think you're going to bump. In Southern Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Mozambique, Zambia that I went to, South Africa, they have similar business practices to the way how we do. You walk into the store, the price that's on the wall is the price that's on the wall. There ain't no talking. That's what you're going to pay or get out. In Kenya, everything except for your groceries is negotiable. And so if you don't understand that about how they do business there, you will be paying 4 times as much as you should be. You will be paying 4 times as much as you should be for everything. And I thought I was winning when I first went to Kenya, and I was like, oh yeah, I spent $7,000 furnishing my 2-bedroom apartment. Then I met Kia from Traverse Cultures, and after she showed me everything, I could have furnished the same apartment for $2,000. Now, it's not necessarily that I was ripped off. I mean, I was, but I just didn't understand that you have to negotiate. So that's one thing you have to negotiate. I tell you this, whatever price, if somebody tells you a couch is $100 in Kenya, start your negotiation price off at $25. And you'll probably walk away with it for $26. And they're still winning because they're not going to sell you that couch without a profit. So that means if you are walking in the stores and just buying stuff, you're making your life 4 times harder being there. I don't care how much money you have. Just learn how to do it. If you don't want to do it, get a local to negotiate for you. Now, another thing about doing business in Kenya is, as far as East Africa goes, it's going to be one of the best places in between East and West, but between the 5 countries that I've been to on both sides. It's going to be one of the most trustworthy places you can go do business without thinking you're always getting scammed. But you still are. They still are trying to get over. They're not always trustworthy. And I don't want to call Kenya necessarily a lawless land, but that's a place where, you're trying to sue somebody. That's not going nowhere. You're going to have to go handle it yourself. Right? Like you're gonna have to go get your money back. You're not suing nobody. This is not United States where you spill coffee on yourself, McDonald's, you can sue them. Now you can do that here in Namibia. You can sue people the same way you would in the United States in Namibia. That's why I always say Southern Africa is a little more similar to what we're used to and how they do business in the United States. But in Kenya, if somebody steal your money, you're going to have to go get it. It's street justice. Yes, that's the right word. There's nobody that's coming to help you. And I've seen numerous times that somebody, steals somebody's money or somebody does something wrong and they go send somebody to get the money back, the old school way. Now, if we go to a place like Colombia is going to be significantly cheaper than Kenya. You will be paying maybe 2/3 of what you would pay in rent. So let's say if your rent is $500 in Kenya for a 1-bedroom in a prime side of town, in a place like Medellin or Cali, Colombia, that might be $350. Now, and the groceries will be even cheaper too, a lot cheaper. Now, here's the trade-off. You're in a super dangerous country. Like Americans and I'm not saying that it always happens, but it is very common for them to be, as we know, drugging us, right? And nobody's immune to that. I'm not. I know I feel like I am, but I'm not. Some of those girls are talking to those dudes for 6-7 months before they drug them. And then the thing is, what they steal from them is like $1,000 iPhone. So that goes to show you how desperate they are there. They'll talk to you for 6 months to steal $1,000 phone. You got dudes rolling around on motorcycles, sticking people up at gunpoint over there. It's cheaper. You get a cheaper result. Now, that's never happened to me while I was there, but I'm not going to say it's not happening because I know people it's happened to. You guys remember the white guy, Jason, I was hanging out with in Paraguay? His friend got kidnapped and held for ransom, and they took him to a house. There was a bunch of other guys. I guess it was some sort of mafia or something, and they robbed him for $20,000. Now, I would recommend, out of the 3 places I've been to in Colombia, I would recommend Cali, Colombia. It's one of the most dangerous cities in Colombia, but it doesn't feel that way. It's cheaper. It's a lot more peaceful. You definitely feel safer walking through, even though it's a lot more dangerous. I think the crime is more concentrated. But yeah, Colombia, it's not like when Pablo Escobar was there, but it's not that far off. The internet there is really good. Great internet. Great internet. Dating there is, it's okay. I mean, in Cali, Colombia, it was probably the best for me, but I haven't really got online and bragged about it. But it's dangerous. Doing business there, even though it's all these dangers would be in Colombia, doing business there is going to be a lot more trustworthy and straightforward than you would see in Kenya. That doesn't mean that they don't have their issues, but it's a lot more trustworthy and straightforward. It's going to be cheaper to get a worker's permit or an investor's permit in Colombia than it is pretty much anywhere in Africa. But especially since we're comparing, we're going to say Kenya. Now, you can become a Colombian citizen and you can become a Kenyan citizen. But on the last one of this list I'm going to go over with is Thailand. And actually, pretty much nearly all of Asia, becoming a citizen is something you might as well forget about. I think Malaysia may be the only place that you can become a citizen. I don't even think it is. I think Malaysia is the only place you can own land almost in Asia. Asians want to hold on to their culture. They don't want to be colonized through investment. So they're not going to allow, their visa situations are a lot more strict. And yeah, you'll never become one of them. Never. Now, Thailand's rent is some of the cheapest rent that I've seen in my life. Thailand is the only place in the world that I've been to where you could pay dirt cheap. Like, I'm talking like rent so cheap that it's irrelevant. That's one of the only places I've been to that you can pay that cheap of rent and it's completely safe. Like, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but I don't know anybody it's happened to. I haven't heard of it happening to anybody. I haven't heard of anything bad happening to anybody in Thailand. You don't have to worry about any druggings, kidnappings, armed robberies, none of that kind of stuff, because their law enforcement is pretty strict there and they have the death penalty for a lot of stuff. So I think people think twice before they do stuff like that. They used to have the death penalty for being caught with any sort of drug. In 2018, if you got caught with marijuana, they would execute you. So that's the type of environment. So it's very safe there. I remember the apartment that I would stay at in Bangkok was for 10 days, it cost me $170. So that's $17 a night. That means that they're probably only paying maybe $6 or $7 per night. It was similar to the place that I'm in right now. $6 or $7 per night. Thailand is dead. So if you are on you're only bringing in $1,200 per month, Thailand is probably a place you want to consider. They call that the backpackers' land, essentially, right? And that's people that don't really have much and they're just backpacking, but they want to live in another country. Southeast Asia is going to be that place for you. Even places like Sri Lanka is a place like that as well. I don't think it's as safe as Thailand, though. If you know a local and you go to Thailand, you can literally have a budget of $5 per week for groceries. 5. I'm not bullshitting. I'm saying this from experience. Whenever I went to Chiang Mai, I had a local. We were supposed to stay in Chiang Mai for a whole week. We didn't stay the whole week, but we bought enough groceries for an entire week for 4 people in one house. You know, yes, it was one of those open air markets that you had to go pick the food up and like you better wash it with vinegar when you get home. It was one of those places. But at the end of the day, 4 people were able to eat for a week off of $5, something that is unbelievably cheap that nobody would believe if I told them that unless they've been out of the country already. The internet in Thailand is some of the greatest in the world, just like Nairobi, just like Colombia. A lot of the developing world, you'll notice, has good internet. Dating, I don't really like Asian women like this, so it's not my thing. There's a huge prostitution thing there, so I mean, just keep that in mind. And doing business there is going to be a lot more straightforward, like I would in Colombia, and things are going to be more honest. There are bribings that happen there, but here's the biggest kicker when it comes to trying to open a business in Asia in general, but let's say Thailand. So if you open up a barbershop in Africa or Latin America, you can own that barbershop 100%. Now, some countries have the whole freehold, leasehold land where you can't actually own it, you know, that kind of thing. But when it comes to businesses in Africa and Latin America, you can actually own those businesses. Like I said before, Asians do not want to be colonized through investment. So in Thailand, if you want to own a business, you have to have 2 other Thai people that have ownership of your business as well. You heard that correctly. So maybe your girlfriend has part ownership of your barbershop and her brother as well. So now you have another issue of finding 2 people that come from another side of the world that are not the same race as you, that have nothing to do with your family, that you have to trust with your lifeline of income that you're putting your hard-earned money into. So that's a trade-off when it comes to Thailand. Now, for those of you guys that are interested, well, we already went through this. Put a 1 in chat if you guys want me to go over Namibia. And I'm gonna look at some of these questions in the meantime. Bookmarks. Okay. Let me read a couple of these questions first. Do Black Americans fit in Namibia, South Africa? Also, does Namibia and South Africa require a large amount of money to start a business as an expat? I'm not sure about South Africa, but I know Namibia. And Kenya is like that as well. Like in Kenya, in order for you to actually open something, you have to show $100,000 in assets. That could be cash, that could be stocks. You have to have something that is equivalent to 100,000 US dollars, which most people don't have that, but maybe you do. Now, in Namibia, as far as fitting in, I would not say you stand out here. I mean, I think people can look at me and they know that I'm not one of them. But there is a large white population here. There's a lot of Black Africans here, and then there's a lot of mulattoes here. So I think you'll come to find out in most of Africa, you see people, if you're Black, you'll see people that look like people you grew up with. So most places you go to, you don't stand out. Like a lot of times, even if you're white, you don't stand out, depending on where you at. Like even in Kenya, I don't really see white people as looking too foreign, especially not here. Ideas for people 55 plus for meeting and greeting other expats. If you are coming to Nairobi, that's what I host my events for. My parties that I throw in Nairobi are essentially networking events. But that's why we do have our group chat that I mentioned at the very beginning. If you're interested in that, stick around to the end and I'll give you guys a link to find out more about that. Which of these countries can you flush a toilet paper? A lot of people found this one funny, but this is a real issue. If you're in places like Brazil, and you flush toilet paper down the toilet, you can destroy your toilet because the pipes are not designed to handle that. Now, I always flush toilet paper down the toilet, but I would not recommend it in Latin America unless if you're in Uruguay. And usually they have the sprayer thing next to the toilet, so you don't have to use toilet paper majority of the time, or if you do, you don't have to use that much. From your observation, what's the most needed industries in these African countries? Anything. And the reason that I say anything is because Africa is a blank canvas. So like right now, I'm in Namibia, and I'm looking out the window. They have street lights. They have their equipment to equivalent to a Lowe's Home Goods, Lowe's Home Goods, Home Depot. Let me just say Home Depot. They have their equivalent to that. They have nice paved roads with no potholes, sidewalks. They have public transportation. But they only have 3 million people in the country, and I believe 500,000 of those people live in this city, in the capital city. Now, this country is about the size of the entire southern portion of the United States, from like maybe Arizona to Florida. Now imagine that big of a distance with only 3 million people living in it. So as far as Namibia goes, it doesn't mean that they don't have what you're bringing. It's just that your competition is low. And the continent of Africa has the highest youth population in the world, which means that it's only going to continue to grow, and there's going to be a upcoming middle-class workforce, right? Is if you places like Italy where people are dying out, that's not a place you want to open up a business because, I mean, you're going to run out of people very soon. They're in Japan. I went to Maputo, Mozambique. Do you know that 60% of Mozambique is under 14 years old? And it is very underdeveloped. I don't even remember seeing a movie theater. There. There was nothing there. So if you were to go to Mozambique and put an AMC, I'm pretty sure there's a reason why there's no AMC there. Maybe, I don't know. But if you were to put a movie theater there, think back in 10 years how far ahead you were if you did something like that. Africa is truly a blank canvas. In Kenya, whenever their cars break down on the side of the road, a guy with a backpack on a motorcycle pulls up and pulls a jack and a hammer and all this other stuff out of his backpack to fix the car. Now, in the United States, our solution for that is AAA, roadside assistance. From what I've seen, they don't have that. And if they do have that, it's not accessible to the average Kenyan. So the stuff that we have in the United States that we're so accustomed, even like, I've said this before, even bagged popcorn. I was in Kenya for 10 months before I found out bagged popcorn that I could throw in a microwave and pop. That's an import opportunity. My tattoo artist that did all my tattoos on my legs and all that kind of stuff, right? He cannot find black ink. Black ink is this ink. That's the most that's pretty much the only color people get. He can't find that there. I helped him import that there. That changed his entire business. Basic stuff that we have, just because Kenya seems like, yeah, okay, it's very comfortable. They have a lot of stuff here. If you're looking to make money there, you'll realize everything is not there. And those opportunities are very available. Okay. Now, as I see you asking a question, B. Taylor, about Namibia. What's some of the most needed industries? Okay, and we'll dive into that other one deeper. But just know, again, for the future, Africa is an opportunity for everything. The white guys and the Chinese know that. Okay, the Chinese are very well aware that they're here. They have already beat us. Luckily, they're doing mining and real estate mainly, and maybe some restaurants. But the other little stuff, I haven't really noticed them doing. Now, in Namibia, as I said before, it's very underpopulated, so it's very calm. I mean, I guess that doesn't have to do anything with it being underpopulated, but it is clean, calm, peaceful, politically stable. Fun fact about Namibia is that everybody in their cabinet, the president is a female, and everybody in her cabinet is also a female. Like, there's no men. The Ministry of Defense is a female. Like, all that is female. There's just a fun fact. It's familiar for Westerners. Like I said, if you come from the States and you like to hunt, you can go hunting here. They have movie theaters here. They have the same cars that we have in the United States here. There's sidewalks on the side of the road. If you go to Kenya, it's going to be Kenya. Let me just use Tanzania. If you go to Tanzania, it's going to be a huge culture shock. There's a lot of dirt roads and no sidewalks. The electricity constantly going out. The internet is trash. So if you come here, this will be like a soft landing. And it's not as boring as a place like Botswana. Now, I'm actually going to guide you guys through this process here in the next couple weeks because I am moving here to Namibia, so I'll be able to tell you guys exactly this process as far as the rent goes for the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom thing. But it is priced but a little more expensive, as I said before. Like in Kenya, you're not going to see, of course you can find it, but it's not common for you to find a 1 bedroom anywhere in Nairobi almost for $850. Like, you would have to be staying at Skynest, which is like one of the nicest places in Nairobi. But the average rent is what I said before. It could be as cheap as $350 for an area that you would want to stay in, or it could be up to $600. I like to say $500. A 2 bedroom here can be anywhere from $800 to $1,200. And of course, if you get a 3 bedroom, it's going to cost more than that. So just take into account that the highest quote that we got for a 2 bedroom was $1,200. But I didn't go up to 3 bedrooms on my thing because most people aren't doing 3 bedrooms when they're staying places. Most people that are watching is probably going to do 1 to 2 bedrooms. Now, groceries are a little more expensive than they are than they are in Kenya. I would honestly say, maybe it's because I'm buying food for 2 people, but I would say that you would probably spend close to, I would start this off at $70 per week instead of $40, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. That's just me, though. I go to the gym a lot and I eat a lot, but I would budget for $80 per week for groceries here. But it is one of the safest countries in Africa. If you put it on the continent-wide scale, it's definitely more safe than Somalia. on paper it's more safe than Kenya, but I definitely feel safer in Kenya. I feel like nothing can happen to me in Kenya. I don't feel like anything can happen to me, like anything, like nothing. I'm not afraid of nothing. Now, I don't feel in danger here, but I do know that people do have guns here. But I guess if you compare it to its neighbors like South Africa and Angola, they do have really high crime rates in both of those places, and kidnappings and all that sort of stuff. Now, the social environment in Namibia is friendly. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Actions speak louder than words. The people are welcoming, and it's easy to form a social circle. I've already done that, but I put not like Nairobi, because Nairobi is just magical. Nairobi is just a place that's the only place in the world that you're gonna be where it's that social. That's the only place I've been to out of 30 countries that is that social. Now, the income opportunities. Namibia is as you guys have seen on my channel, I don't know if you have or not actually, Namibia is a very beautiful place. There's a lot of natural beauty here. They have the Skeleton Coast here. They have, and this isn't natural, but they have German towns that are submerged under sand that have been abandoned for God knows how long. I guess since they lost World War I, they've been abandoned. They have beautiful sunset here. They have mountains and hills all throughout the city. They have, of course, it's Africa, so they have nice safaris and stuff you can see. The tourism industry is actually going to be something you as a foreigner can come here and actually capitalize on. That's one thing. In content creation, if you do YouTube, there's going to be endless amounts of content here. But as I said before, in Africa, imported products like hair, pre-workout supplements, electronics, and anything that's American branded, if you bring it here, it will do well in Namibia. And people in Namibia, there's more people in Namibia that can afford those things than per se in Kenya. So you can import American brands here and be successful with that. Now, the difficulty that I'm gonna have to face myself is the long-term stay. Visas don't cater towards foreigners. As I said before, you can stay 90 days at a time and extend for 6 months. For me, that's okay because I have to travel anyway to, keep up with my channel. But I can see for somebody else watching this, if they want to stay here 2 years at a time, this could be a problem. The biggest thing the most reliable thing you're gonna have to do that's not gonna hit your pockets at all, pretty much, is gonna have to do a border run. Now, Intercape is a bus system, I guess similar to Greyhound, but better. You can ride directly from here to South Africa. So you can go cross the border, come back the next day or the same day, and it'll restart your visa. The only issue is you got to get on the bus for 12 hours or you got to fly. So that's the only thing with border runs, especially if the town is not near a border. This is in the middle of the country. It's nowhere near a border. Then to get to Botswana's border from here is like 8 hours by car. Now, this is a good question, and I've always been a huge, I've already went over these. I've always been a huge advocate for the FEIE, which is the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion. So if you are living outside the United States for 330 days out of the year, like I am, I haven't been back to the United States since May 1st, I believe it was, 2024. If you are living out of the United States for more than 330 days, as of 2024, I believe it was $136,000 of your income is tax deductible, meaning that if you make, most of you guys aren't making that, so most of you guys will be tax free. But if you are making $150,000, okay, now $14,000 is the only thing, and this is gross still, not net. $14,000 before you deduct your business expenses is what you would owe. So it's a huge tax relief by living outside the United States. Now, in Namibia, they're not gonna tax you, again, if you're working abroad. So for me, I can, and I don't wanna get too ahead of myself because corruption is still a real thing in a lot of these countries. I can go back to Kenya and be like, oh, my YouTube channel is generating $1 million a year and I don't have to pay taxes in Kenya. Legally, they cannot tax me because Kenya has nothing to do with that income. I'm just living in Kenya. Now, if I had a restaurant that was making that much money, yes, they will tax you on that because you are making money on their soil and Kenya is the reason why you're making that money. But if you are working for an American company, Merrill Lynch, Chase, I don't care who you're working for, if they're a foreign company, it is illegal for them to tax you. In most countries, I mean, look into which country you're going to, but for most countries, that's going to be the thing. And if you do pay taxes in another country like Kenya, the United States will allow you to use that money that you paid in taxes as a tax credit towards your tax bill from the United States. But the cheat code to not paying taxes is to move out of the United States. Like, there's so many deductions. You get the FEIE, which is if you work for a foreign company. I mean, if you're living outside the United States, then you get the number changes every year, but $136,000 last year, right? And if you have there's another deduction you can take. If you have a home in another country, you can deduct your utilities and your rent, and you can deduct up to an additional $36,000 off of your taxes. So just keep that in mind. Again, the cheat code to not paying taxes outside, I don't care what nobody tells you. Go read this book called Tax-Free Wealth. I'm going to put it in the chat. Tax-Free Wealth. Tax-Free Wealth. That is a book that would tell you everything that you need to know about taxes. That has been a life-changing book for me since I've read that book. So, how can you earn money abroad? This is the segment that most people have been waiting for. Let me take it. Like, I'm gonna tell you this, just to go back to the tax thing before we go to this next one. Like, I haven't paid tax, I think since 2019. I think I've paid like less than $1,000 in taxes, and I've been earning over $100,000 for a long time, like since 2020. If you read that book, I'm telling you, I got a tax bill last year because I forgot to put a deduction on there. They sent me a bill for a couple $100. I think I owed like $400, and I could have paid it, but I filled out a form, sent it back, and told them that I don't owe that. So let me just, some people are asking. I'm gonna put the link, the Amazon link in the chat. And this book was written by an accountant as well. Now, okay. So how to make money abroad. I'm finding a link for you guys. How to make money abroad. You can either do remote income, which can require a degree. So maybe, I don't know if you're a software engineer, maybe you're a lawyer and you're able to work abroad. I don't know. Some sort of remote job. That's the hard part. And I do have a job list with 300 jobs. I'm going to put it in the chat right here. 300 job list. You can download it here. Just put the link in the chat. So those jobs on that list can pay up to $20 per hour. And I've had several Americans get hired off of that list. The only thing is you're going to have to go apply for those jobs. But at some point, after 300 applications, you should be able to find a job. The thing is, those are jobs. They're not scalable like the rest of the stuff on this list. So digital products require no degree nor startup costs. What is a digital product? A digital product is like that job list I just put in the chat. A digital product is this, well, this is more of a service, but this webinar is a digital product. Now, the only thing with digital products is that you have to have somebody paying attention. You have to have eyeballs. So for me, this is easy. Oh, I want to do a webinar this week. I go out, put it on my YouTube, 150 people show up. You more than likely don't have a YouTube channel with those people at your dispenser. Just throw it to and they buy it. So you would have to work with other influencers to build what I have at the bottom of this list, which is an email list. An email list is one of the most valuable ways you can earn income online. So do not do the thing of buying an email list from somebody, which is damn near illegal, buying a list from somebody and you get banned off these. I've been banned off these websites before because they thought I was doing fraudulent, some sort of spamming thing. You want to build your email list naturally. I don't care if you reach out to me personally and say, "Hey, Austin, I have a bracelet that has a fire starter for some traveler that's living in the middle of he wants to do the hunting in Namibia and he needs a fire starter. I don't know, just some random product." And you come on and you say, "Hey, while you're doing the interview on my chat, this product, you guys click, we're going to put the link in the chat. You guys download this." They call this a lead magnet. You download this PDF document that's going to give you all you need to know about whatever product you're selling. And then people download it. And you're using me as an influencer to build that email list. And those are what they would call warm leads, people that you know are interested in your product because they download something that's relevant to your product, and then you could pitch it to them. But this is just going to have to be something that you're going to have to, that's one of those things easier said than done. But once you get the email list down, it's good. I've made a lot of money just from email lists. James, I will send you that 300 job list to you right after this webinar. I'm going to send it to you right after this webinar. Now, local investments, which usually involve major startup costs, but not always. So if, for example, you can see that, they need a barbershop in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Okay, but you got to have barbershop money. You got to have that high work permit money, $10,000 and stuff like that, just for just the cost of doing business there, $10,000 for the visa, that kind of stuff. So some people may have that option to do that, some may not. Import, export, essentially just being a middleman. You having boots on the ground. Hey, I've been living in Kenya for 10 plus years. I made these manufacturing connections, whoop whoop, all this other kind of stuff. I can help you bring your product. Case study. The guy that has Water to Wine, the wine brand that Bobby and I are a part of, right? The guy makes that wine in Texas. He met our import-export guy, Kevin. Him and Kevin had a consultation together. He came to our first webinar, and then Kevin followed up with a consultation. And now he has his wine that he makes in the United States imported into Kenya with my name on one type of bottle and Bobby's name on the other type of bottle, or flavor, I should say. And it's in the equivalent, it's called Oaks and Corks, right? That's basically their equivalent of Specs, the liquor store Specs, SPECS. He has his wine in Kenya, the equivalent to that. So now he can make money in Kenya by putting in a local investment, essentially. It's not necessarily, import-export. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about the last part. Import-export. He imported his stuff there. Then we have another guy. He is working with the same guy, Kevin, to export coffee to the United States. You guys know Donald Trump's tariffs. Brazil was one of the main importers of coffee to the United States. But Donald Trump, I think it's a 50% tariff he put on there. So now that gives you an opportunity. Oh, well, Kenya doesn't have that high of a tariff. I think Kenya's tariff with the United States right now is only 10%. So that gives you the opportunity to say, okay, well, now this is my chance to ship coffee there. So take that into consideration. And of course, consultations. I know a few people doing this. I do these as well. It depends on what industry you're in. This has little to no startup. You could literally just use your email, but you have to have exposure. Now, the last one I want to touch on is Fiverr. I see somebody else put Upwork. Upwork is similar to Fiverr. I've been using Fiverr for years. I've used Fiverr to create several websites. I've used Fiverr to create my logos, to run some of my Facebook ads. I mean, basically, and you don't need a degree to be on Fiverr. Like, you don't need a degree to make logos. Like, you just need to know how to draw a logo and sell it to somebody online. So essentially, think of Fiverr as like Amazon Marketplace for services. So basically, you sign up for Fiverr, fiverr.com with 2 R's, has it spelled right there, Fiverr. Oh, I know how to draw. Like my younger brother knows how to draw. I know how to draw. Some people think, oh, well, ChatGPT could do it now. I'm telling you, I use ChatGPT every day. It's not there yet when it comes to those logos. It has way too many mistakes it still makes, and I pay for ChatGPT every month. You put, hey, that I am a graphic designer or whatever you would call somebody that draws logos. You put your price, and yeah, that's an online source of income you have. The better you get. The lady that did my logo, when I first started using her in 2019, she was charging $50. Now she's up to $110. So she's made a career out of drawing logos. Zero startup costs. All of y'all have a laptop. If you don't have one, get one. Matthew Johnson, you said, I want to console you. I have over 50K to invest. Send me an email, austinholloman@gmail. We'll get to that in a minute. So what are some remote income serving U.S. clients that you could do? So you are living in Kenya, but you're serving U.S. clients like me, right? I'm serving you guys. I live in Namibia and Kenya, but my clients that are watching me or that do consultations with me are from the United States, or they're from the UK. You know, they're somewhere else, right? So you could be a virtual assistant, social media management. You could be a video editor. You could design thumbnails. I'm telling you, as a YouTuber, video editing and thumbnail design is something. I spend well over $1,000 a month for these things for my business to be automated, so I have time to do stuff like these webinars. So they do pay, and that's on the low end. Script writing, copywriting, online tutoring, such as English classes, right? And remote customer service. That works, but don't expect to get paid like no $40, $50 an hour. Now, this works because you don't need a visa. You don't need a work visa to stay in countries if you're working online. Matthew, no, you send me an email. austinholloman@gmail. Send me an email at this moment, so I'll make sure I'll be able to check in with you here in a minute. Provides freedom, stability, and mobility. Digital products. So just to go further into digital products, ebooks, PDF guides, travel guides. I do those online courses. Any skill that you can sell online and put it in a pre-recorded course is a form of a digital product, but it's not limited to that. And these don't have to have any inventory. You don't have to ship them. There's no overhead. You can sell them out of your email or just send somebody a PayPal link. So for example, let's say I add you guys to my expat, my expat freedom system group chat that I'm going to talk about here at the end, right? James, I see what you said. I'm going to send it to you. So if you join that group chat and you say, hey, does anybody have trouble growing a YouTube channel? Some people might respond and say, yeah. Then, well, hey, I got this online course. You have to get within a network to sell these if you don't have a YouTube channel like me. But that's just an example. Consultations and coaching, as I said before, consultations could be over anything. Like it says here, life coaching, business coaching, YouTube, travel planning. And don't think that you have to have 155,000 subscribers to be successful on YouTube, right? I know some people in Kenya that I met that had 500 subscribers that were getting 300 views in their videos, and they're still getting consultation bookings. Somebody's watching, right? But I think you guys need to use me. Like I don't think a lot of people understand that you can use my network if you don't have influence like I do, and I will give you access to my network. Now, it's not free. It does come at a fee, but this is how you can sell stuff to people. I'm glad y'all see the value and I see the comments. Can you recommend who I learn import, export? Send me an email at austinholloman@gmail. I'll discuss that with you directly because I do have somebody you can work with. And yes, you can charge whatever you want for a consultation. People are not going to ask you for a degree. I think people just want to see experience when it comes to consultations. People pay for my consultations. Y'all are basically paying for a consultation coming here because y'all trust my expertise and experience on traveling around the world and networking around the world and living around the world, essentially. Correct. Import, export, as I said before, fitness supplements. Like, let me give you guys an example. They don't have a lot of pre-workouts in Kenya. The only people I've seen that have maybe one American brand, and I don't trust America's pre-workouts, and British brands. But if you go to the United States, there's shelves and shelves of pre-workout. Here's a big thing. If you go to Kenya, there are damn near no condoms. And the condoms that they do have, they charge the same price for the ones in the States. So it's not that they're too expensive. Like some people say, oh, well, the American condoms cost more. No, they cost the same amount. I don't know why they don't have them there. Maybe you should look into that because they're going to use them. They're going to use them. Yeah, American pre-workout, they're full. American pre-workouts will make you feel like you took something toxic. The British ones, a lot of foods and chemicals that are legal in the United States are banned in Great Britain or in England, right? And I said Great Britain. And I feel like I could take those daily. I have been taking them daily. I feel healthier when I take those. So yeah, America's, I don't trust their pre-workouts. They'll have you jittering and yeah, no thank you. But yeah. C4 is needles in the face. Yeah, it feels like, C4 is no good. Yeah, no. But yeah, so they don't have condoms in Kenya. That is literally, remember I told you it took me 10 months to find a bag of popcorn? Like, there's stuff. I think you just have to live there and just be like, damn, it's been I didn't realize I couldn't find this there. And then you start doing your research. You talk to somebody like Kevin. You realize, okay, now you can bring this product there. Now, the reason that you want to have somebody like Kevin when you're doing that kind of stuff is because there is also a reason why that stuff is not there. And those markets are not as free as you would think. Like, African countries still have the politicians still have this extreme greed issue where they charge an 100% tariff. I remember I had some face wash shipped from the United States years ago from Tej Hanley. They were supposed to sponsor me. Well, I was sponsored with them. And the value of the face wash was $44. The shipping was $44. They charged me $44 in tax. And then I had to pay the post office an additional $7. So basically I paid for 3 bottles of the face wash or the face kit. So you need to have somebody that's actually in that industry like Kevin that can actually help you navigate those things. Because if you don't and you try to go around and do it yourself, I'm telling you, you're going to fuck off a lot of money. You will. South Africa has that figured out. That's why if you go to South Africa, there's nothing that we have in the United States that they don't have in South Africa. They understand that if you can have more products if you don't tax the hell out of everything. They understand that. I don't know why the other countries don't. I already brought up water to wine, cultural goods. Yeah, I think you guys get it. And local investments, we already talked about that. Open up a barber shop. There's no such thing as a Turo in Kenya. There's no such thing as a AAA in Kenya. Airbnb is big business in Kenya. If you do, Airbnb is illegal in Thailand. But if you do that there, that's big business. That's the most visited place in the world. So that's big. But Airbnb is kind of played out. I mean, I think that there's more. I understand why people do real estate, but I think that in order for us to have a peaceful coexistence between Africans and Black Americans, we don't need to make selfish investments, right? And so by selfish investments, I mean like real estate. Who the hell is benefiting out of you buying an apartment? The cleaning lady, she's in poverty. You paying her $7 a day. But, you know, if you open up a restaurant, you can actually employ more people and actually put food on their table. So that reduces the chance, because at some point the locals going to be sitting around protesting against their president about high taxes and no opportunities, and they see us coming over here and everything that we're basically keeping our money to ourselves because we just buying apartments and shit. They'll start to resent. You never know. You never know what could happen in some of these countries. You see how they be doing Kenya, how they be burning stuff down and killing people. Anyway. Oh, and another thing I put on there, the reason that we thrive in other countries, especially in places like East and West Africa, is because we have a sense of urgency and professionalism. So just some of my personal thing, my income structure, if you guys don't know how I have been living abroad for 3 years, primarily my YouTube ad revenue, the payments that YouTube sends me for you watching my videos, or the super chats that you guys donate, or the that's pretty much it. I have memberships on there as well, but they don't make up a good portion. I don't really promote that. That is like my bread and butter. Like if I don't make any money on any of these other things throughout the month, that YouTube ad revenue is paying for my food to eat every month, my place I'm staying at. When I had a car note and insurance back home and paid for that, that was my survival cost. I always kept my magic number, and I read this in $1 Million Weekend too. My magic number was literally about $3,500 per month. $3,500 per month. I have to make that every month from YouTube. I failed if I don't make that. And then so anything else I make after that is now going to be reinvesting or just excessive income. I don't know, drinking money, whatever I want to do with it. But YouTube is my survival. As you guys know, digital products like travel guides, my online courses, I do consultations. The wine brand is still new. So it's not that's going to take a couple years. That's something that's building up momentum. That brand has to get big first, but it's there. And I have affiliate deals, like for example with Traverse Cultures. She's the woman that I would point you to if you guys wanted to do an entire relocation in specific to Kenya. That is I'm not being modest. I'm just saying he hasn't started yet. I mean, he has. It's in the store, but it takes some time. Thank you. I appreciate that though, Matt. Thank you very much. Comma. Kick is another streaming platform. My audience is nowhere near as big on there, but they do pay. They do pay very well. I need to start streaming on there now because that would be a whole nother survive. Kick pays more than YouTube. Let's just say that. So that's a good one as well. Webinars, as you see me doing right now. By the way, based off of how this webinar is going so far, I'm going to do these every Sunday. So next Sunday there'll be another webinar, and I'll reach out to you guys in your email. And you can send me your WhatsApp number as well in the email as well. Let's see the next slide. So I want you guys to ask yourself, and we're getting towards the end now. We're over 90 minutes, but I'm gonna go ahead and continue. What is your skill that can be sold online that will allow you to live abroad? Matt, I'm glad to hear that you said that it's well worth the $10. Thank you very much. That was my goal. So your skill can be something that you know, do, or have lived. So don't think that just because you are a barber, you can't go to Kenya. I'm gonna tell you, Kenyans would love a American barber to come be their teacher. Their instructor, I mean. The content will be not a continuation, it'll be another subject similar to this one. So we may dive deeper into real estate or dive deeper into the best visa options or how to save taxes. It seemed like you guys liked that a lot when I was talking about taxes. We might go further into that. It depends. I'm gonna send out a questionnaire. I was reading something else. Video editing. You could be a fitness trainer. You could get online and sell fitness courses. You could teach people English. If you live in Brazil and you want to teach Americans Portuguese, you could charge them more and be living there teaching them that. One thing that a lot of people don't know, if you're like a really big guy, I've met 3 or 4 guys in Kenya that have been able to sell security services and I've paid for them. They've been able to sell security services in Kenya. You're not going to need a degree for that. That you can definitely make that happen. There is something that you are good at that you can make work. And being American is going to always give you a leverage in selling services or products. Just the way how it is. Somebody is already paying for what you already have. I have all this knowledge that I'm teaching you guys today about living abroad and earning money abroad. It didn't dawn on me till I read that $1 Million Weekend book, and I was like, damn, okay, I need to do a webinar about that. Like, will people listen to me talk? Yeah, they'll listen. Okay, this is $1,500 we made on ticket sales just from a webinar. That's survival costs in Kenya. That's survival costs plus. So it could be done. Yeah, the $1 Million Weekend book is golden. It's that one, and then there's the Never Split the Difference book. If I'm putting my books on YouTube, trust me, I'm not going to put trash books up there. That book is a life-changing book. I think everybody watching this webinar should read that book. That book is so good, I give it to somebody as a Christmas present. So, in order to monetize a skill in 30 days, pick the skill that you have, package it into a simple offer, and find 3 people that are willing to pay for it before it's ready. Like my webinar. I had an idea. I reached out to 3 people. I said, hey, the ticket is $10. Okay, 3 people sent me the ticket. I put it on YouTube. It was a success. Right? Make a booking link. Sign up for Stripe. Stripe, like stripes on a shirt, Stripe, stripe.com. You can take digital payments there. You can take card payments. You can even sign up with a firm. You have to have an established business to get approved of that though, because they're gonna want to look at your website and all that. I got approved for a firm, so I have some products that cost thousands of dollars. Some people pay those products off of, I don't have $4,000 to give up to you today. Well, I have an option for a firm. They're going to pay me the money up front, and you owe a firm, the bank. It's basically they're taking out a loan. And a firm offers up to 2 years of payment. So when people say, oh, you got a $4,000 product, but I can split these payments into 24 payments, you're more likely to convert that lead. Or you could just use PayPal. Even use Cash App. There's pretty much no excuse for this. Like, you can make something happen. And then you charge your clients, collect testimonials, and you can raise your price over time, and it can become a full-time career for you. And that is your first expat-ready income engine. Again, for example, I will continue doing these, and I will continue providing value through these webinars weekly, and that's another source of income. I've had people in Nairobi ask me, hey, I need to find something to do. There's something that you're good at that you can occupy your time and get paid for it. The same way a barber knows how to cut hair, but everybody else doesn't, and so people will pay him for it. You need to have that mindset. Now, avoiding fake scams and mistakes. If you go to Nairobi, Kenya, everybody works in immigration, and everybody is a real estate agent. Everybody. Nobody in Kenya is going to say, oh, no, I don't. Ask them, do you know where a house for sale is at? They all are real estate agents now. All of a sudden, they're real estate agents now. And so this is why we have people with boots on the ground, like me, like Kia from Traverse Cultures. This is why we have people like that, because we're here to save you from that kind of stuff. We know what's going on there. So because I don't want this webinar to be too long. I mean, I'm enjoying doing this. I don't want y'all to think I'm in a rush or nothing like that, but I was only supposed to do an hour and a half. So we're going to watch just a small clip of this video. So this guy is a guy that I know personally. He's came to many of my house parties. We've kicked it a lot. But I believe that he fell into the trap of some Kenyan that he trusted, because these will be people that you trust. That will tell you that they're real estate agents, or that'll tell you that they can get the hookup on immigration. I'm not gonna play the video because it's spread out, because it's basically a review. But there are people that will tell you that, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys again. The visa to get a work permit is like $4,000 in Kenya. It's like $4,000, right? But there's always somebody say, "Oh, I could do it for 1,000, or I could do it for 1,500." So you're utilizing corruption, right? The kicker is, once they steal your money, you can't go to the police. You can't do nothing. You just got scammed. So the best way you can avoid scams like that is actually to do it the right way. It's going to be expensive, but do it the right way. And then if you're going to you could be doing it the right way and still get sold fake land. That's when a lady like Traverse Cultures that I have booked below, I'm going to give you her booking link here. If you guys want to work with her, she's for Kenya. If you guys are interested in relocating to Kenya, you can reach out to her there. How much would it cost to get further one-on-one consultation? Email me, austinholloman@gmail.com. Because what I do in my consultations is I'm going to ask you what you want to talk about first. Everything. Because here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to do a consultation and then you don't feel like I answer your questions properly. Because then, nobody wants to do refunds. And nobody wants somebody going around saying, "Hey, I did a consultation with Austin. I don't feel like I got my money's worth." So I don't do everybody's consultation. I figure out if I can help you first. So send me an email with the details of what you want to speak on first. But a consultation does save everything that's on this list. Okay, we already did this one. So I'm going to go over the first 90 days. This will be a general experience because this will make this webinar 3 or 4 hours long. But the first 2 weeks, whenever you relocate somewhere, you need to have a budget big enough to actually, don't be one of those people thinking that it's austinholloman@gmail.com. Don't be one of those people thinking that, I'm just going to go to Brazil with $1,000 in my pocket because Austin said I could live there off $800. No, if you go into a new country, you're going to want to explore for at least 2 weeks. So have a budget for that. Do not use your American SIM card. Get your American SIM card and throw that away. Go to Chime or Claro, or I hate Claro, but go to one of their local cellular services in Brazil and sign up for that. You can literally have unlimited data in these countries for like $20 a month. Some $30 bucks. Whatever it is nothing compared to what I was paying for Verizon. It was like $100 a month for Verizon. Find your apartment. Stay in the Airbnb the first 2 weeks, but be looking for your apartment if you plan to actually stay. Get a bank account. And after you do that, you need to actually come out of tourist mode and get a routine and start building an actual social network. And then you need to start working on your local investments as far as income building and working on your permanent residency as well. So let's go to the Q&A section because we're about an hour and 43 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed this so far. So let's read some of the questions that we have here really quick. Sorry, Austin, don't want to be spamming, but wanted to ask if it's possible to discuss border run options while we're talking about the 90 days. So I'm assuming, I can give you the download to the webinar. Yeah, I can give you the slides to the webinar. So if you are talking about Namibia, you can go anywhere you want, but the bordering countries with Namibia is Botswana, South Africa, Angola, and Namibia has like this weird panhandle, so it actually borders the Congo, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. But that's like one slither of land. You'll probably never even go over there. This is the link to the slides if you guys want it as well. Thank you, Matthew John. I'm so pleased to see the response that you guys have for that. Specific business in Kenya regarding starting owning a bit specifics. I went over that. Like I said, you have to have $100,000 in cash or assets that you can show, and you're gonna get charged an extreme amount of money, around $4,000, to initiate a work visa, and you're gonna have to maintain it every single year for 2 to 3 years for $1,000 a year, which I believe is 150,000 shillings, somewhere around there, and that's gonna be your biggest barrier. And of course, you're gonna have to do the FBI check and all that kind of stuff. But I think all the questions I have bookmarked. Let's see if we have any new ones. Yeah, no, I actually enjoyed doing this. So I think that I'm going to, like I said, do these every Sunday. So I'm going to be looking at your email. I'm going to send you guys a questionnaire of topics. Is it going to be tax related? Is it going to go further into immersing yourself in the culture? Is it going to be visa options, getting married in another country? Whatever it is, I think we'll go deeper into those topics on the next one. And we'll just do one every single week. My next one will be next Sunday. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. So you were asking, what is the duration? So no, with a border run, it's best if you go somewhere and you stay for 3 or 4 days so it looks like you did vacation. It's not illegal to do border runs, but the chances of them jamming you up, like, oh, like, you know, you're trying to dodge the visa, them doing that kind of stuff, the chances of them jamming you up are a lot higher if you cross the border and come back an hour later. If you cross the border and come back an hour later, yeah, like, it's not gonna work. So if you guys are interested in, so I'm gonna drop a few links in the chat. If you guys enjoyed this webinar, I'm gonna put, there is gonna be a subscription. You guys know the tickets to the webinar will stay $10. But if you guys want to come to every single webinar forever, you know, there'll be 4 webinars a month, you can subscribe here at this link and become a member of the Freedom Expat system. And you have access to every webinar that we do. And you will have access to every webinar, and you will be notified as soon as the link is created for the new webinar. So I'm gonna drop it off here, webinar, and I'll have an email send it out to you guys as well if you guys don't catch it now. Webinar membership. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the price flat on this one. So that is the link if you guys want to become a member. And remember, this is the 300 job list. I'm gonna drop this one again. And if you guys want to join my personal network instantly, you'll join right after this webinar ends. We have the Expat Investment Group Invitation here, or otherwise known as the Expat Freedom System, as I just renamed it. You'll have direct access to me. It's in my group chat. Jonathan, retype your question if I didn't answer the question. Retype it. You'll have direct access to me. You'll have investment insights from other people that are in the group chat that have businesses around the world, especially here in Africa. We will do weekly calls in this group chat once a week. And as I said before, it's another expat community, and you will have support of the community while relocated and help you avoid costly mistakes. So this is the Freedom Expat Network WhatsApp chat. see. I'm gonna link that here. Okay, so let's see, Jonathan. You said you had a question. You said I didn't answer it. Requested access to the slides, but I used a different email. I put the slides there. Hold on. Oh, it says 18 people like access. Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, so I have to go through and manually accept all 18. So yeah, so far, let me. I had to do that. Do you recommend someone retire first if they're nearing retirement before they move abroad? Do I recommend someone retire first? I would say yes, because when you retire, you'll start receiving your retirement checks, and I think that's very important for you to have. I may have missed your reply, but are you going to provide us with a link to the webinar? Yes. So this exact same link that you guys joined with it's the same link that you would go to rewatch this. Is the expat investment group a one-time fee? Yes. So if the fee that is on that WhatsApp chat that I put here, that fee is the only that's a one-time fee. You have lifetime access with that. There's no subscription with that. Now with the webinar thing, that is a subscription, but the expat network chat, that is a one-time fee. It shouldn't be archived though. Once I end this, there will be and I'll re-email the link again. But once I end this, it will be like there's an option right here that says available on demand. I'm seeing right now that it's telling me that after it's done, viewers can watch the recording after it's ended. If they have registered, registrants will also receive an email to rewatch the webinar. So yeah, you'll have access to this immediately. My thoughts on World War III. I'm not really worried about it. Hey, if it happens, it happens. So you sign up for the weekly webinar. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So again, Austin, please, real quick, main difference between Kenya, South Africa, you like Kenya better, right? Yeah, Kenya is a lot safer. It's a lot less westernized. There's not nowhere near as much xenophobia. The xenophobia in South Africa is crazy. Like I remember Bobby and I were sitting there with some chick at this restaurant. She was South African. We were just like casually just hanging out together. Some dude just walks up saying, "You're a sellout. You're sitting with America." It was on a live stream. You're sitting with these American guys. And like, yeah, they got stuff like that going on over there. I don't have time for that. I enjoy your work, Austin. Appreciate you. Is you and Bobby going to be visiting Europe and the Caribbean in the near future as well as Nigeria? I will go to Nigeria and the Caribbean. You said Europe? Europe, I've been to Europe twice, but I'm not too much of a fan. It's nice, but you know. But anyway, I put all the links to all the subscriptions in the chat. If you guys have any other questions, make sure you email me, austinholloman@gmail.com. Check your email, and I'll start promoting these webinars on Friday, Saturday, Sundays. And yeah, I would reach out to everybody else in the webinar for the next webinar. But yeah, they will also be in my community post, and I will mention them in the video. So I appreciate you guys. Please send me feedback, and also send me feedback on what you would like to see next week. I'll see you guys then. So that training that you just watched was the foundation to everything that I'm teaching in this entire series, because it's not just one webinar. This entire series of how to make money online. And if you found that valuable and it resonated with you and you liked that webinar, you liked the information, you liked the questions that were being asked, you liked what I said, you want to be here for round 2 this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I'm going to teach everybody exactly how it works and how to monetize making money online without having a large audience. No, you do not need an audience as large as mine. So this is for beginners. This is for people that don't have an audience, that don't know what they want to do, and that don't know how to run their business online. And yes, if you can't attend the live webinar and you want to have everything organized and on demand, you can sign up for the membership that is there. But you do want to have yourself at Sunday's webinar at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The live webinar is where the momentum happens, and that's where you can get your live Q&A on. So again, that will be linked in the first pinned comment of this video. Go to the comment section. There'll be my comment that's pinned. You can click that link, buy your ticket there.